Hey, I'm glad you're back. This is Night Pages, A Wizard of Earthsea, Chapter 4, Part 2. The last sentence. He kept up his foolishness for the laughter's sake, laughing with them, for after those 2 long nights of dance and moonlight and music and majory, he was in a fey and wild mood, ready for whatever might come. He came lightly down on his feet, just beside Jasper at last, and Jasper, who never laughed aloud, moved away, saying, "The sparrowhawk that can't fly." "Is Jasper a precious stone?" Jed returned, grinning. "O jewel among sorcerers, O gem of Havnor, sparkle for us." The lad that had set the lights dancing sent one down to dance and glitter about Jasper's head. Not quite as cool as usual. Frowning, Jasper brushed the light away and snuffed it out with a gesture. "I'm sick of boys and noise and foolishness," he said. "You're getting middle-aged, lad." "You're getting middle-aged, lad," Vetch remarked from above. "If silence and gloom is what you want," put in one of the younger boys, you could always try the tower." Jed said to him, "What is it you want then, Jasper?" "I want the company of my equals," Jasper said. "Come on, Vetch. Leave the prentices to their toys." Jed turned to face Jasper. "What do sorcerers have that prentices lack?" he inquired. His voice was quiet, but all the boys suddenly fell still, for in his tone, as in Jasper's, the spite between them now sounded plain and clear as steel coming out of the sheath. "Power," Jasper said. "I'll match your power act for act." "You challenge me?" "I challenge you." Vetch had dropped down to the ground, and now he came between them, grim of face. "Duels and sorcery are forbidden to us, and you know well you know it. Let this cease." But both Jed and Jasper stood silent, for it was true they knew the law of Roke, and they also knew that Vetch was moved by love, and themselves by hate. Yet their anger was bulked, not cooled. Presently, moving a little aside as if to be heard by Vetch alone, Jasper spoke with his cool smile. "I think you'd better remind your goatherd friend again of the law that protects him. He looks sulky. I wonder, did he really think I'd accept a challenge from him? A fellow who smells of goats? A prentice who doesn't know the first change?" "Jasper," said Jed, "what do you know of what I know?" "Jasper, what do you know of what I know?" For an instant, with no words spoken that any heard, Jed flashed from their sight, and where he had stood a great falcon hovered, opening its hooked beak to scream for one instant, and then Jed stood again in the flickering of torchlight, his dark gaze on Jasper. Jasper had taken a step backwards in astonishment, but now he shrugged and said one word: "Illusion." The others muttered. Vetch said, "That was not an illusion. It was true change. And enough, Jasper, listen, enough to prove that he sneaked a look in the book of shaping behind the master's back. What then? Go on, goatherd. I like this trap you're building for yourself. The more you try to prove yourself my equal, and the more you show yourself for what you are." At that, Vetch turned from Jasper and said very softly to Jed, "Sparrowhawk, will you be a man and drop this now? Come with me." Jed looked at his friend and smiled, but all he said was, "Keep Hoeg for me a while. Keep Hoeg for me a little while, will you?" He put into Vetch's hands the little otak, which as usual had been riding on his shoulder. It had never let any but Jed touch it, but it came to Vetch now, and climbing up his arm, cowered on his shoulder, its great, bright eyes always on its master. "Now," Jed said to Jasper, quietly as before, "what are you going to do to prove yourself my superior, Jasper?" "I don't have to do anything, Goatherd. Yet I will. I will give you a chance, an opportunity. Envy eats you like a worm in an apple. Let's out the worm. Once by Roke Knoll you boasted that Gontis wizards don't play games. Come to Roke Knoll now and show us what it is they do instead. And afterward, maybe I will show you a little sorcery." Yes, I like to see that," Jed answered. The younger boys, used to seeing this black temper break out at the least hint of slight or insult, watched him in wonder at his coolness now. Vetch watched him not in wonder, but in growing fear. He tried to intervene again, but Jasper said, "Come, keep out of this, Vetch. What will you do with the chance I give you, Goatherd? Will you show us an illusion, a fireball, a charm to cure goats with the mange?" "What would you like me to do, Jasper?" The older lad shrugged. "Summon up a spirit from the dead, for all I care." "I will." "You will not." Jasper looked straight at him, rage suddenly flaming out of his disdain. "You will not. You cannot. You brag and brag. By my name, I will do it." They all stood utterly motionless for a moment. Breaking away from Vetch, who had held him back by main force, Jed strode out of the courtyard, not looking back. The dancing wheellights overhead died out, sinking down. Jasper hesitated a second, then followed after Jed, and the rest came straggling behind, in silence, curious and afraid. The slopes of Roke Knoll went up dark into the darkness of summer night before moonrise. The presence of that hill where many wonders had been worked was heavy, like a weight in the air about them. As they came onto the hillside, they thought of how the roots of it were deep, deeper than the sea, reaching down even to the old, blind, secret fires at the world's core. They stopped on the east slope. Stars hung over the black grass above them on the hill's crest. No wind blew. Jed went a few paces up the slope from the others and turned. Jed went up a few paces up the slope, away from the others, and turning said in a clear voice, "Jasper, whose spirit shall I call?" "Call whom you like. None will listen to you." Jasper's voice shook a little, with anger perhaps. Jed answered him softly, mockingly, "Are you afraid?" He did not even listen for Jasper's reply, if he made one. He no longer cared about Jasper. Now that they stood on Roke Knoll, hate and rage were gone, replaced by utter certainty. He need envy no one. He knew that his power this night, on this dark, enchanted ground, was greater than it had ever been, filling him till he trembled with the sense of strength barely kept in check. He knew now that Jasper was far beneath him, had been sent perhaps only to bring him here tonight, no rival, but a mere servant of Jed's destiny. Under his feet, he felt the hill roots going down and down into the dark, and over his head he saw the dry, far fires of the stars. Between, all things were his to order, to command. He stood at the center of the world. "Don't be afraid," he said, smiling. "I'll call a woman's spirit. You need not fear, woman. Alfarin I will call, the fair lady of the deed of Enlad." I'll stop there for tonight. Good night, River. Home. Sleep well.